Hi, I'm Jamie McShann, and I'm a maker of cool stuff, like this cool full-size Galaga that I built back in 2005, quite a long time ago, and this cool guy, and quite a few other little cool things. And most recently, the early part of 2019, a company called Numskull Designs came out with these cool quarter-scale arcade replicas that are fully functional and very scaled and very accurate. And it definitely inspired me. And so I decided that since Galaga was definitely my favorite arcade game, my second favorite was Donkey Kong. And I knew that Numskull would probably have a hard time getting licensing for a Donkey Kong from Nintendo, and so I decided to build my own. So I'd like to introduce you to the quarter scale Donkey Kong arcade cabinet. Fully accurate and fully playable. The Donkey Kong runs on a Raspberry Pi 3B+. It is running RetroPie, as you can see here in the menus. Basically load up a game, select it from the menu, custom load screen, then it will load up the ROM. The coin returns are buttons, so we press that to add our coins, and then we can select player 1, and start the gameplay. The joystick is repurposed from the New Wave Toys Street Fighter secondary joystick that you can purchase. I'll show you full pictures of that. It was originally an 8-way joystick, and so in order to make it work with Donkey Kong, I needed to build a small little 4-way joystick guide, and I'll post a picture of that as well. The control panel itself is also removable for being able to service or change. It's held on with magnets, so I pop it up here, and so as you can see here, you have the joystick and then the buttons. The buttons are standard push button momentary switches, but I did design custom 3D printed bezels, as well as doing a little sanding to round over the edges of the buttons themselves to give them the appearance of the arcade style buttons. The joystick is normally a little bat type top piece, and in doing that I was on the hunt for basically an 8mm ball. And so what I ended up using was body piercing. They have 8mm stainless steel stud balls and little shafts. And so I ended up using that for the joystick. So I drilled a hole inside the piece within the Street Fighter joystick bat, cut it off, and then drill a hole through it. And that's how I did that. All the decals were printed on my inkjet printer here at the house. I used some vinyl print label paper for the stickers. Otherwise, it's all just printed on photo paper. This is the side art. And front little decals. It's a plexiglass cover over the control panel. The little rivets were interesting. Those are actually sewing pins, so they're tiny. The rivets on the coin door are little brads, little nickel-plated brads. And the little loops for the coin returns, it's just a little metal rod that I bent around a round jig, and then this whole piece was CNC cut. out of styrene. The cabinet is made out of 3/16 inch blackboard material at Home Depot. I liked it because of the thickness. It was the only thing I could find at Home Depot, and it had kind of a texture to it. And so even though it's painted, the black is painted, the blackboard material has kind of this texture to it that gives it a little bit of a nicer feel. You can see it here as well as on the control panel itself. It's got kind of a texture pattern to it. The marquee is 5-volt LEDs that are just tied in with the power supply. I'll post a picture of that. And then it's a 16th inch piece of plexiglass, and then photo paper with the marquee printed on it there. The bezel is also 1/16 plexiglass. It's sandwiched, so it's 2 layers of 1/16 plexiglass. And then the artwork is sandwiched in between that. On the coin door, the actual lock button is your back to get back to the menu. So if you press that and press button number 1, that will actually escape the game and take you back to the menu. And then, as you can see, you can play other games. So I've got, Donkey Kong Jr. loaded here. So it'll load that up, or any other main game that plays on a vertical screen can easily be played on this as well. I plan on probably loading a few more in the future. So there you go. On the back of the unit, you have the power supply on-off switch. It does run on a lithium battery, or you can plug it in. There's your USB charging and power port there. This is your volume control knob. Because we're running stereo out of the Raspberry Pi and the Donkey Kong only had one speaker location, I went ahead and mounted a rear speaker as well, so it gives it a little bit more sound option. For the vents up here, I cracked open my numskull. I forget which one I robbed it from, but on the numskull they also have this back vent material, and I was thinking, well, when I opened it up, it was one long piece, so I cut the middle piece out and repurposed that middle piece for each of these little vent holes. Let's crack open the back. Now, it has a couple of little Allen head screws here. Now, pretty much you can open them by with just your fingers, but I did so that I could always get into it easily. On the bottom, I actually added an Allen wrench key, so just in case I need to get in there and I can't get it with my fingers, I can definitely get that. We'll just go through and open this up real quick. The back has a little catch at the top, so it just latches underneath that. And then when you're taking it off, you do have to remember to pull off the speaker connector. So it has just a little quick connect that you can easily pull off. And then inside, it's not super pretty, but what you have in here is you have your volume control, which is mounted to a small little 3-watt amplifier. There's a couple of transformers there for noise suppression for the amp and PS, the Raspberry Pi. Evidently, they're very common with having audio noise. And then down below, there is the USB charger that charges the lithium battery, which is back here in the back. And then over on the side, this is the USB board that is inside the Street Fighter joystick. So by repurposing that, I think I paid $15 for it when it was on sale. I got the USB controller, as well as the joystick out of it. So I felt like that was a pretty good repurposed still. You can see the front speaker there, and then you have the LCD screen and the Raspberry Pi. One thing I definitely wanted to make sure is that I could service this or make changes to it if I wanted to. So the screen itself, which is attached to the Raspberry Pi, can be pulled out. So it just slides in, as you can see, and then I can get access to that and just unplug the power USB and the headphone jack and the USB controller there in the front, and you've got access to it. I did it this way also because I think I want to maybe modify the way the monitor mounts. Well, thanks again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this little breakdown of my quarter scale Donkey Kong. Once again, I want to thank Numskull Designs for basically inspiring me. As I mentioned before, this is my second favorite game. Galaga is actually my first favorite arcade game as a child. And so you inspired me. I knew you guys would probably never be able to get Nintendo licensing, so I just had to have a matching Donkey Kong to go along with my other arcades. I do plan on still investing in the rest of your designs and look forward to what you guys come up with. So once again, thank you. Appreciate it. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Bye.